Welcome back to another Alvado video. Now in today's video we're going to be watching a gameplay by Aesah. Currently challenger, he's a very well-respected player that often places very consistently in TFT tournaments. And we're going to be watching a game of him playing Hustler. Now before we get into this game, there's a few things that I want to let you know. One, right now there's a good chance that I'm going to be streaming, because today for you or tomorrow for me, I'm going to go live and I'm not going to end stream until I get a 3-star of every single 5 cost. Of course, I will be playing in Fortune Favor. If I tried to do that in Ranked, then the stream would never end because it's just not possible. But yeah, if I'm still live, then say what's up. Maybe go check to see how many 3 stars I've gotten. I'm also really close to hitting 1,000 subscribers. Please help me hit that goal. I have an announcement coming at 1,000 subscribers, so yeah, hit that subscribe button. And let's get into this game. He started Chain, and now we can see the first hero augment, or the first augment of the game. So, Hustler, he was just looking up the stats because the new patch is out, and there was a recent nerf to Hustler. It's still an extremely powerful augment. He checked the stats, it was about 4.3, which is still above average. If anything is below 4.5, then it's generally really good. On the previous meta, before the nerf, it was 4.0, so it was basically always an insta-click, because you could only see it on stage 2 anyways. But essentially what the augment does is that it makes it so that you gain no gold through interest. And that's exactly why I wanted to make this video, because you have to play in a playstyle that is extremely foreign. You have to play the game so much differently. You can see here right now, it's 2-2, and what he's going to do here is he's going to level up. Because money means nothing. You do not care about money because you can't make any interest. You can still make streak gold, so you still want to, streak. You can see he lost the first round, so he's already not doing the best job at it. But the reason why you take this hero augment is because since you can just push levels, it's very easy to just save HP through winning rounds, and then you're always guaranteed to make that like 3 gold. Now, the way that they nerfed it is that instead of getting 3 gold every single round, you now don't get 3 gold on PvE rounds. So you lose out on about like 9 gold on average throughout the entirety of the game, which is like, it's a nerf, but it's still really strong. So yeah, so since another reason why I wanted to make this video is because, I wanted to find the right game for it. I didn't want to watch someone who's playing from a high roll spot, and this game is anything but that. You can see that he lost 1 and then lost. What you really want to do with Hustler and most of the power in the augment is that since you can push levels so aggressively and roll so aggressively, normally you will be 5 streaking on stage 2, and then you kind of have to figure out your game plan for the rest of the game. Okay, so let's see what decision he chooses to make here. I mean, this spot is just really it's really hard to understand exactly what you should be playing. He doesn't have any other upgraded hero or upgraded unit except for this Poppy. He didn't hit any pairs there. So instead of trying to make his board stronger, he's just going to push levels. And he's just going to say, screw the pairs. I'm just going to level up in this spot. And the good thing about leveling up is that now that he's level 6, there's a lot higher odds to, natural these 4 costs. You can see in this spot, he was able to find a Zac, and he has a Bramble Vest, so there's a good chance that he's going to be able to guarantee having a really strong front line because he can already play around the Zac. Now, he doesn't itemize the Zac because he thinks a Poppy 2 is better than Zac. Also, Bramble Vest is really strong on Poppy because it makes her deal a lot more damage. And he's able to 2-streak into Krugs. Now, we can see here that he's going to be making like a lot of interesting decisions. He's going to be micromanaging every single turn to try and build the strongest board possible. Again, since you don't care about money, you're always holding on pairs or you're always leveling, because you want to make the most effective use out of your gold here. And if you make no money through interest anyways, then there's no reason to not level. He's able to get a belt and a sword from Krugs there, and he goes ahead and makes Warmogs. He's holding these items on this Poppy because it is stronger than the Zac at the point in time in this game. But of course, his idea is that he's going to turn the Zac into a main tank later down the line, and he's probably going to move items over. Here we can see the next hero augment of the game. He made sure in the previous turn to have Duelist in and Defender in because he really wanted odds for Reverberation and for Spread Shot. Those are two very strong hero augments. Hero augment doesn't pop up. We can just see another gold. And he really considers taking threat level max, but he does some scouting and he sees that there's two other people playing Kaisa, so they're going to be contesting Cho'Gath and Rammus. And then there's also like a couple other players that just had either more Cho'Gath and Rammuses, or it looked like they were trying to play around, you know, Bel'Veth, like a sort of a flex AD line. And the only threat that he currently has on his board is Zac. I think if he had like a Cho'Gath 2 or a Rammus 2, then maybe he would feel more comfortable taking threat level max because of how strong that hero augment is. But he's going to go ahead and just take Preparation. Preparation also really powerful, especially in a build like this where you are incentivized to hold on to the pairs. So he's going to, there's a lot of times in the game where he's going to have, you know, a lot of units on his bench that he's going to be able to prep anyways. So in this fight, this is a pretty important fight on the game here. It's stage 3-3. He levels to 7 because he had enough gold to level, and he throws in 2 Mascot because he thinks Mascot was more powerful than this Vayne. On his previous board, he had a Vayne. But the thing is that he checks most of his damage, and a lot of his damage was coming from this Poppy because it's itemized. And so he wanted to prioritize Mascot instead of Duelist because he just thinks that keeping his front line alive longer would be more beneficial down the line. Now he ends up losing that round because someone somehow has a Z2 on 3-3. And again, we can see that even though he's very healthy, this is not a good spot to be in when you have Hustler. Even though he lost some rounds in the early game, he's strong enough where he could legitimately just continue to win every round past stage 3, and then maybe he would fall off around stage 4. We can see he lost the last round, he lost this round, he doesn't have street gold anymore. He's fighting really powerful opponents, and he's going to have to really figure out exactly how he's going to utilize his like items, and he just needs to figure out like what comp he's playing, because right now his board is just like a bunch of random trash. So he's not rolling right now because he still wants the ability to go level 8, because a lot of times you will be rolling on you know, just random points in time on random intervals because you don't care about the interest. So you're incentivized to have like 0 gold every turn if you want to have your strongest board possible. He's prepping some of his units here, so he benches some of them, and he's able to find a Fiddlesticks. Now Fiddlesticks is like obviously huge. Not only is he able to take a turn to prep it, but you know, Fiddlesticks is just guaranteed going to be on his board for the rest of the game. It allows him to, yeah, just like not have to worry about an extra frontline unit. He has a hard time figuring out exactly what he wants to play here. Just kind of tosses in a bunch of random things. I think in this turn, he wasn't thinking too hard about the hero augment because he was just kind of dizzy. He's trying to flex a whole bunch of different options because that, you know, that plays really, that plays into your benefit significantly to be flexible in this spot. Because again, yeah, like you're going to be rolling a lot of your gold, and you can realistically flex between a whole lot of things. So he has 4 hero augment rerolls. It's 3 cost, 4 cost, 3 cost. And he just sees impact velocity, which is the Aesah support hero augment that makes it so that his ability stuns units as well. And he just thinks that that augment is like good enough, so he just kind of takes it. I mean, he could have realistically prioritized other things, but he had a Shojin. He wanted something. He wanted to have a reason to make his items. So he goes ahead and makes Shojin Aesah. Every single time this Aesah casts, he's going to be like providing a massive stun on a lot of the enemy units. So it's pretty big there. And then he pushes level 8, and then he rolls a decent amount of gold. And he finds a Bel'Veth pair, so this is perfect because now he can play. He didn't want to play the Bel'Veth that he hit last turn because he was going to prep it. But now he hit Bel'Veth pair, so he can play one and prep the other one. The Bel'Veth on his bench has 2 stacks, and the Bel'Veth that he just found has 1 stack because he's wanting to fully prep Bel'Veth before he actually includes it into his team. So now we can try and see exactly how he's going to itemize his units here. And he makes like a really interesting decision. He goes for Tyr instead of Bow here. I think Bow would have made a lot of sense because you can make Last Whisper and Runeans on Bel'Veth. But since he had a pair of both Bel'Veth and both Aesah, and Aesah is providing him more support, he was down to further itemize Aesah, so he went for Tyr there, and his plan was that he was going to make Shiv. But now that he has a Bel'Veth too, he changes his game plan, and he goes ahead and makes Hodge and Runeans on this Bel'Veth. Of course, healing is very strong on Bel'Veth. Runeans giving you the extra AD is also really good. Bel'Veth utilizes every single stat that Runeans and Hodge provides. He kind of forfeits the ability to make Last Whisper, which definitely sucks. But I think this is a really good way of showing you that this is how you should be playing around a game when you are not trying to just force BIS. He's remaining flexible. He hit Bel'Veth 2 before he hit Aesah 2, so he's going to itemize the Bel'Veth. Making that decision, you know, there's a good chance that it saved him a lot of HP in the previous round, even though he lost. And later on in the game, you're going to see how important, you know, just the smallest amount of HP makes in a game like this. He's scared of losing to Aurelian Doom because, you know, I'm sure you guys have seen the clips of people losing to Aesah. It is pretty scary, and a lot of those clips happen because people are trying to greed as many prep stacks as possible. He greeds the preparation stacks on his Aesah, his Fiddlesticks, and his Zac, but he wants to make sure he still has enough damage to kill the Aurelian Doom, so he keeps his Bel'Veth in there, which definitely sucks because prep stacks on Bel'Veth is dealing like practically all the damage on your team, so you really want that Bel'Veth to get the extra stats. But it's you either take out the Bel'Veth and you leave all your other units in, or you take out like all your other units and leave the Bel'Veth in. So he thought it was more important to get prep stacks on more units than just the Bel'Veth. Probably a good decision there. And then he goes ahead and makes QSS. So now he has, you know, 3-item Bel'Veth, pretty strong carry, 2-item Zac, 1-item Aesah. So he has like support Aesah, carry Bel'Veth. It definitely sucks that he didn't go for threat level max in this spot because, you know, threat level max would be ridiculous here. But that's all hindsight. He wasn't in the spot to play around threats. But of course, if you hit the, you know, the threat board, you're not going to not play it because it's still very strong. And it's pretty cool here. He's playing 2 Aesahs on his board because they both benefit from the impact velocity hero augment. So either one casting is going to provide a 1.75 second stun on the enemy team. And also, since one has Shojin and one doesn't have Shojin, they actually like sync up really well because one of them is going to be casting a lot faster than the other one, and then one will cast, and then another one will cast, and then one will cast. So having one with a mana item and one without is just really good for guaranteeing that you make the most usefulness out of the stuns. He's able to find a Janna 2 here, and it's sunny weather, so it's not like the best, but he hit the Janna pretty early on. And, you know, you're not going to turn down a Janna 2. The tornado on Janna 2 is, like, really broken. Sunny weather is also pretty decent with Bel'Veth because the worst part about playing Bel'Veth is that she sometimes just goes in and randomly dies. You can see the HP of the lobby here. There's basically one outlier that has a lot of HP, and then the rest are really close. This next fight is going to be really important for how the game plays out. So let's take a look at how he's able to, what he's going to do here. You can see this Bel'Veth is stuck on the Rammus and he doesn't have Last Whisper. So it's taking this Bel'Veth way too long to actually, you know, get through this Rammus. And then the Bel'Veth ends up dying to the Kaisa. But the Aesah meteors actually just barely are able to kill the Kaisa in the back. And then what ends up happening is the Zac blobs. The literal 2 Zac blobs is the thing that ended up killing the Rammus. I think the person that he just beat there took the equivalent of like 0 damage for units. If you do not know, the way that you take damage is considered, or is like, it's a combination of what the stage is and then how many units your opponent has. But his opponent had actually killed every single unit that started on his board, and he lost to the Zac blobs. So he basically took the same amount of damage as just the stage damage, which is like the least amount of damage that you can take. But I also want to make it clear that that fight was so important because it was literally like as close as it possibly could be, and that would have turned the HP lobby into like in a way where it would have been really difficult for him to top 4. You can see here that if he had lost that fight on 5-7 round before the PvE round, he would have went 5th right here. He would have taken more than 5 damage, even if it's a 1 unit loss, and he would just be dead right here. He would have went 5th, the game would be over, and that would be that. More fights play out, he's able to win that fight there. He had a pretty good positioning with his Bel'Veth, but most importantly is that he didn't really need Last Whisper. Last Whisper is always good, but it's really bad when you're in a spot where, yeah, like you're against a Rammus 3 and you don't have Last Whisper. Like, you legitimately can never kill that Rammus. Now, I want to point your attention to his shop here. I think 2 Vel'Kozes would be stronger than a Mordekaiser, but I mean, not Vel'Kozes. 2 Fiddlesticks would be stronger than a Mordekaiser, but he values the legendaries paired because he was talking about how he's 1 round away from Carousel, and there's a good chance that he's going to be able to hit either Fiddlesticks or Mordekaiser, so he wanted to keep both of them just in case he hit one or the other. He ends up hitting Mordekaiser, and he's able to survive that last fight, and you can see that he's now in a top 2 situation. Now, his opponent has Rammus 3, Cho'Gath 3, Bramble on both of them. So this is literally Bel'Veth's worst nightmare if you don't have Last Whisper. It's basically impossible to win this, and yeah, you can see that he very easily just like loses that fight there. But you can see exactly how, you know, micromanaging every single turn is necessary when you're playing around this Hustler build. And at any point in time in the game, if he is just, you know, 5% less good at this game, or like even like 1% like worse at like making decisions, then there's a good chance that he takes 5 extra damage throughout the course of the fight, and he ends up going 5th instead of 2nd in this spot. Like, I think a lot of people would prioritize Last Whisper on Bel'Veth, but then they would be left with 2 items that they couldn't make for until later on in the game. And when you do that, you know, he would have lost HP because he, instead of having a Hodge Runan's Bel'Veth, he would just have a solo Last Whisper Bel'Veth, and then he would be sitting on the 2 item components. All these micro decisions lead up to him, instead of getting a 5th, getting a 2nd. I hope you learned something in this game. I hope you have, you know, just a little bit better understanding of how to play around Hustler. Like the video if you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one.